Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Samuel Stevenson podcast. Now, today I have with me a man who by now has to be an expert at rigging because not only does he know how to move extremely heavy equipment, but he can also sail the seven seas. Welcome, Captain RG3. Has it been a good day for you, man? Let me make sure I unmuted you. Okay. Sorry, there you go. Go ahead.
A good day. It has been one heck of a day, but yeah, it's been a hell of a day.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing about it. Well, for those who are listening live, if you have any questions for the captain, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to address them at the end. But we've got lots of topics to discuss this evening, but I've been dying to know one particular thing first. When you were a kid, did you dream that one day you'd be lighting fuses and shooting cannonballs?
I'd hoped to. I dreamed of it, yes. But did I think that this was going to be my fate? No, I didn't have any idea that this was going to be my fate where I'm at today, for sure.
Excellent. Well, let's get into that. So before we talk about where you're at, actually, let's give you a little bit of background here. So for those who don't understand what a millwright is, how would you summarize that?
Oh, okay. So we're gonna go to those days. So there are different types of millwrights. There's unionized millwrights, there's shop millwrights, there's field millwrights. There's really very technical millwrights that get down to the nitty gritty and dial things in with master levels and all this stuff and machine things. And then there's the millwright that I was, and we pick things up and put them down. That's what we do.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really, really heavy shit. We pick it up and we put it down. That's all we do. Some of us are called machinery movers. And then some of us, they, in the trade, they'll call us millwrights. But for the most part, we're machinery movers.
Gotcha. So there's separation amongst the millwrights of like what categories people are going to go into to specialize.
Exactly. I mean, and it depends on where you work. It depends on what your shop has you doing. It depends on what technical knowledge you have also. And it also depends on what kind of skill set you have. When I got out, it was, even though it wasn't the technical field of being a millwright, I was a very, very technical at moving really heavy equipment, leveraging things to pick up, anything from, a couple thousand pounds to millions. Our biggest pick was 1.2 million. So it was a pretty large pick.
Oh my goodness. So a few questions off of that, right? So what are you using to pick this stuff up? If you're in a shop, is there some overhead crane or are you having to build something or bring something in?
Well, we use everything from cranes to, from jacks and dollies and metal bars to roll things, just like the pyramids were supposedly built. And then we use forklifts and cranes, and we have things called big picks, and we have things called gantries. So gantry is basically, you set up some train tracks, you run these hydraulic jacks onto these train tracks, you run beams across it, you strap to whatever it is you're going to pick, and then you run these jacks up, equalizing them and bringing the piece up. And that's how we picked the 1.2 million. So there's a lot of different piece of equipment, mostly forklifts though. We use forklifts that our forklift, the biggest forklift we had, to pick 140,000 pounds.
Okay. Gotcha. And anything beyond that's going to have to be games of leverage and
couple forklifts, leverage. Yeah. Cheating, a lot of cheating.
That's
stacking
good, right?
Counterweights on the back and seeing how much your hydraulics can, stand before they blow.
Oh man. Have you ever had to find out exactly where that limit was by blowing some hydraulics?
Whoa, yeah, we've blown lots of hydraulics, cracked through concrete, smashed through asphalt. You have to lay steel plates a lot of the time down so you don't go through the ground. A lot of, you push things to the limit. Like what they always says, mash your foot down on the gas to the floor and then back off once it starts smoking a little bit, right?
Oh man. So yeah, that was a follow-up question I had, was like, if you're lifting up this like heavy object, right? Every force has an equal and opposite reaction. So like you've got to be putting crazy forces on the floor that you're on. So you said you got to use like steel plates and stuff to spread those loads out.
Yeah. Yeah, big steel plates. It takes, half the morning you're laying steel plates out to go and drive your forklift in, pick the piece, run it out to the truck, set it on the truck, chain it all down, take it somewhere, or just move it into the shop somewhere, and then pull all the plates out and stack them up. So yeah, most of your work is setting up for the pick itself. Like that million two pick that we made, it took us a month to set up to just make that pick. That one come up
Wow.
about 8 feet over about 30 feet and then down and then put it on these things called elephant stands. And so yeah, it took us a month just to get prepared for the pick.
Man, so like in that particular situation, what were they trying to do? Why did they need to pick this thing up?
Well, it was the West Coast's largest press at the time. And what had happened is, just think of a press as having four rods and a base and a lid on top of it. We call it a crown. And then those rods have bolts on top of, or nuts on top of them. They're like a big bolt, right? The rods weigh 250,000 pounds each. Well, one of those rods snapped while they were running the press, and the press goes 3 stories up and 3 or 4 stories down. So that's how tall this thing is.
Yeah.
Into the ground that deep. So when that rod snapped, it snapped at the top where the nut was. Nuts 17,000 pounds. It rolled around up on the top and laid on the edge. And there was 5 guys working underneath it, and luckily it didn't fall off and land on them. But the rod went down to the ground, hit the base, and then shook the whole neighborhood. The telephone poles were swinging, and so the base was leaning at an angle because the rod had snapped and fallen through. So we had to go in, climb underneath it, and with hand jacks, jack the base back up, which was another 300 pounds, jack the base up to where it was straight so that we can pull all the rods off, take all the rest of the nuts off, pull it apart, pull the crown off. They had to weld the base. Took them about 2 weeks to weld the base. And then we put it all back together. Took about 6 months. Take it apart.
Oh my word. So for the cases where you like go to pick something up and you start lifting it and then something goes through the floor, cracks it, like what do you do in that situation? Like set it back down and try to reset up? Or
well, that wasn't because we were picking it up. That happened while they were operating the press. The press broke and fell apart. But yeah, the last thing we do as machine removers or want to do is drop things. We don't drop things.
Yes.
We set them down nicely. We set them down softly. That's what we do. So, luckily in my career, I didn't have anything ever fall over, dent here and there on some things, a little sheet metal bent or whatever. Became a really good, body man when it came to fixing sheet metal and stuff. But other than that, knock on whatever, this is my fake wood. I never, and I don't do it anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I've never had a mishap. There were a lot of them while I was there. I've heard and seen a lot of things that had fallen over. 80,000 pound presses, 10,000 pound presses. I had a friend that had a 20,000 pound machine come down on his hand and ripped most of his hand off. A guy took my place one morning, was killed by an UPS unit, which is a battery store for computer systems. About 5,000 pounds came over, landed on his chest, crushed him up against the wall, killed him. And I was late for work that morning. He took my place. And so it was kind of a weird deal. But yeah, it's a dangerous job. I've got smashed fingers myself, lost a finger. It got sewed back on, but we're good. Yeah, it's a dangerous job and dirty job, but it made a good living. Made a good living.
Okay. So, how did you get down the path of doing this particular work? How did you end up there?
So it's an interesting story. So I don't hide anything. I was living on the streets. I was a junkie in my past life. And around the age of 28 years old or so, I cleaned myself up, and I was living in a men's home for ex-cons coming out of prison, cleaning themselves up and stuff. And I needed to get a job, and I literally just walked out the door, started walking down the street, and over the freeway, came down a hill, and there was this big building said, hiring, now hiring. Walked in. The guy was sitting at the desk. He had 2 phones in his ear. He was talking to both of them. And I said, "Hey, I'm here for the job." And he said, "Yeah." He didn't even look at me. He said, "Yeah, you got some steel toe boots?" And I said, "No." He said, "Get some and be here tomorrow at 5." Didn't even look at me. Didn't look at me. He's still talking on the phone. And I said, "All right, man." And so I went down to the Payless shoe store, whatever it was over there, and got me some steel toe boots. Showed up at 5, and he was surprised I was there. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "You told me to come at 5." He said, "Oh." Sent me into the warehouse and with a broom, and I just sweeping the floors for like 3-4 days before anyone noticed I was even there. And and then and then finally somebody saw me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sweeping the floor. Owner told me to sweep the floors." He said, "Ah, damn it." He said, "Okay, we'll get you in here." So I started cleaning up gear rooms and chains and binders and, all the rigging stuff. And before I knew it, I was cleaning the yard, and then, worked my way into the trucks. And before I knew it, years had gone by, and I was a foreman running my own jobs and driving trucks and moving heavy equipment, and worked for NASA. I worked for JPL, SpaceX, Boeing, Skunk Works. I did work at Skunk Works. I moved everything from big fish tanks over cliffs into multi-million-dollar homes, to art pieces, to machines that make dildos. I mean, you name it, I did it all.
Man, so did you say moving $1 million homes?
We would do things for big $1 million homes. Like we had a giant fish tank one time that had to go over the Laguna Cliffs, over the cliff, and the crane had to be on the street, and then we had to be over on the cliff side and bring the fish tank into the home, and then roll it in, set it up, and boom, boom, boom. So stuff like that. Trying to take real heavy stuff across expensive Italian marble that can't be touched. Somehow you got to levitate over it without hurting it, and
right,
that kind of stuff. So we did a lot of things like that. And then clean rooms at JPL, where you had to go into double clean rooms and get stuck in there for the whole night, and working on the Mars rover program, worked on space shuttle program. And then, of course, a lot of work for Elon. Met Elon at SpaceX. When you see that that capsule that's sitting in SpaceX, when they're all in their control room, the control room is right there in the middle of the shop. It's weird. People think that that's like some big control room or whatever, but it's literally in the middle of their whole shop. But there's a capsule that sits there like it's coming down off the roof. You'll see it every once in a while when you see SpaceX stuff. We put that up there and hung that in the roof, but then all of their machines, of course, we moved them in, and Tesla and all that. So did a lot of work at SpaceX.
Man, so for Elon, mostly just like SpaceX stuff. Any Tesla stuff?
Yeah, we did Tesla stuff too. Yep.
Okay.
But the Southern California stuff wasn't, there wasn't anything there on a regular basis. They do some little special thing here and there, but Tesla, that's just kind of a showroom that's over there by SpaceX here in the Torrance area in California. The other stuff that their machine shops and stuff are away. I did do work for their R&D for some of their new concept cars and stuff like that. I got to see some of those, which were really cool.
That is cool.
And so worked for a lot of places that did concept stuff or top secret stuff that nobody was supposed to see.
Okay, got it. So when I have fancy, expensive Italian tiles in my home and I need to move in like a triple-sized grand piano, how do I do it?
How do you move a triple-sized grand piano?
Yeah, just like what did you do, man, over those like fancy tiles? How do you cross them?
Well, so you figure out what kind of weight you got, and most of the biggest problem with stuff like that is the forklift. Okay, so do I got to push this son of a bitch over it by hand, or do I get to ride my forklift in there? That's the biggest thing, right? So a lot of times what we do is, of course, the first thing you do is you lay masonite down. Masonite is like a smooth, soft kind of wood. almost paper like, and then you'd lay some, thicker, maybe 3/4 inch plywood, and then a steel plate over the top of that, or some aluminum plates over the top of that. So now you've got a nice, soft, solid piece of steel that you're rolling across that's not going to put it's about concentrating the weight in one place. As soon as you concentrate the weight, that's the problem, because if you spread that weight out, you're good. If you stick a 100,000-pound forklift on a steel plate, a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch thick steel plate, then you spread that weight all over. Versus if you put the forklift tire down on the ground or on the concrete or on the tile, you're focusing all of that weight right in one small area. So that's when you get the crushing, the compaction, the damage.
Got it. So for like, I'm imagining some of these like really big lifts where you're spending like months setting up. How much heavy equipment do you use to set up to pick up the heavy equipment?
Oh,
Like all
geez.
these steel plates and stuff. Are you moving like
Yeah.
inch thick plates? Because you better not be picking that up with your body, right?
No. So you have a truck with a forklift on it, right? A small forklift that'll pick up like 15,000 pounds. That forklift goes by itself and has a bunch of gear on it. Job boxes with equipment, rigging gear, stuff like that, safety gear, all that. And that truck goes. Then you get another truck and it's got counterweights. Now these counterweights are all stacked on it for the forklift, for the big lift, for your big pick lift, right? So you've got all these counterweights on the next truck. So there's 2 trucks gone. So now there's another truck that has to take the forklift itself. And then that forklift goes, right? And so all those 3 trucks are just to support the lift. And that other small forklift is picking the steel plates up. And then we have to have like about 3 or 4 truckloads for that pick anyway. Not most picks, but that was a huge pick. About 3 or 4 truckloads of steel plates just alone, And so those steel plates come in, they get offloaded by the forklift and set down. And I mean, these guys are so efficient and so good at this. I mean, like, your guy unloads a truck in like 30 minutes, boom, 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 and chain them. They're in there, wham, wham, setting them down, laying them all. Like, these guys that drive these forklifts, you do it so long, you just become so good, so efficient, and so quick at moving those things around that, like, you're laying these plates down, butting up against each other and squaring them all off in the first lay, like, boom, boom, just sliding them off. So it takes, in a job like that, you have, like 6 or 7 trucks supporting, just that kind of a move.
Got it. So I got a quick story to share with you. So, my brother and I can relate. Mr. Will Stevenson. I don't know if you've met him, but we're both in the crypto sphere. And Will is he's a permanent tower climber. So he's always rigging cables, picking up heavy stuff, but he's picking it up 2,000 feet in the air kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I joined him for a little bit, but during that time we had this situation where we had to move this, like, man, I think it was like a 30,000 pound hoist, just a big winch basically. And we had to get it up like 2 miles or something of gravel road that was too steep for the truck to deliver it in. So we had to take a telehandler forklift from the front and the back, one moving backwards, and pick it up from both ends and like drive up this windy ass steep gravel road while carrying this forklift. I got a video. I'm going to find a way to send it to SJ afterwards, and so you can check it out. But good story.
Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff like that with the 2 forklifts. That's where it gets real dangerous. I got flipped over in a forklift one time. When somebody was, I was in a forklift. We had 2 booms on the forklift, and we were carrying a big long piece, and it was about 25 foot long, and it weighed about 30,000 pounds. And we had two big forklifts on it. And the guy on the other side, I was going backwards, and the guy on the other end, we were supposed to go out a doorway. So as I was backing up, I was getting ready to go out the doorway. Well, as I seen the doorway, I started to turn. Well, the signal guy on the ground didn't tell the guy that I was turning. And so he kept driving straight instead of stopping and letting me drag him a little as I turned. So he kept driving straight. So as I turned sideways, he basically pushed me over because he was still driving straight, and it pushed my forklift over and landed me on the ground.
Oh man.
So, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You were all buckled up and safe inside the cab. Yeah.
Yeah. I was all buckled up. You don't move. At that point, you just ride it. You do anything. You try and get out. You try and move. That's when you get hurt because you just got to ride it until you hit the ground. Because if you try and move, if you try and get out, you can get killed by whatever hits the ground first if you get under it somehow.
Right. There's a lot of heavy stuff flying around at that point. So.
Oh yeah. So you just want to stay in that cage and hope for the best.
Sure. Yeah, really. That's all you can do. So you said that you were working in clean rooms. What was that experience like? Like you have to get like no dust particulates down to like microns of,
So
what was that like?
all your dunnage, meaning your blocks of wood. We use a lot of blocks of wood to shore things up and jack and rock and all these other things in order to get machines out and get dollies and wheels underneath them so that we can roll them out. So all of your dunnage has to be wrapped in plastic, shrink wrapped. All your gear has to be cleaned and wrapped in plastic. And I mean, you're not in a functioning operational clean room. You're in a clean room that's being shut down. So it's not like you're affecting anything, but the cleanup that they have to do afterwards is insane because once you go in and you start contaminating it, you're done. And then one time we were working at the Getty Museum. We were putting a machine shop in the Getty Museum for one of the shops that restore picture frames, old, ancient, 16th, 17th century picture frames and whatnot. And there's all of this artwork and stuff in the room while we're putting all the machines in at the new Getty Museum up in Los Angeles. And one of my guys threw a block of wood down, and I've never even seen this before. And it's happened in this room in particular. Termites flew out of this piece of wood. And they lost their shit. Like it was insane how upset they were. I mean, they shut the whole place down. They shut our job down. I was there till midnight. We were there all day. We were there till midnight with exterminators coming and cleanup crew, and all just because of one piece of wood that had termites in this very unique antique picture frame room.
Oh man.
I've never even seen anything like that in since, or termites came flying out of a piece of wood that we were using.
Yeah, I would imagine they don't like to hang out, but
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was horrible. Those people were really scared because, termites breed or eggs get in there or whatever. And there's all this old wood. They freaked out. So they had to exterminate the whole place. And then we ended up not getting done until like midnight.
Oh man. Okay. So do you have when you got into this, did you have it in mind that you wanted to be picking and rigging and doing that part? Or did you just kind of end up in that role and did you like it? I mean, was it?
You know what? I can't say, it was a satisfying job because every day, I work 14, 16-hour days, 12-hour days. And when I got done with the job, it was done, I was done for the day. I put my head on my pillow. I didn't have anything to worry about, nothing to think about. There was no, worries. My job was done. I was tired. I was beat. I was dirty. I was, I didn't like physical labor, but it was an honest living and I felt good about it. It kept me in shape for a lot of years. And, I'm grateful that I did have it at the time that I did. I'm, uneducated guy that needed a job. And it was a way for a guy like me to make good money. And I did. And I learned a trade. I got really good at what I did. Worked my way all the way up to becoming the director of the whole department and setting up a whole department for a company that set up a machinery moving division in 3 locations all across California, from San Francisco on down to San Diego. So it was good. Did I like doing the work itself? It was satisfying, but yeah, I didn't really too much care for it a whole bunch.
I gotcha. So along that line of thinking, excuse me. Oh man. One more time. So along that journey, what kind of changed in your mindset? Did you you never really liked the manual labor, or did it grow on you? At what point did you kind of start learning about crypto and how you could use that to kind of get out of your position? What was that transition like?
So after I got married and we had a child and bought our first house and all that kind of stuff, my wife was like, this you spend too much time. There's not a whole bunch of money in this. And so I started looking for ways to make more money. Um, I started, doing researching, and now here I'm, in my early 30s, just wanting to figure out a better way to do things because I never lived life on life's terms. I was a Marine, I was a street kid, street entrepreneur. But I never had experienced life or had anybody teach me about it. So I started reading and looking for better jobs. And I found out that sales was the best type of job to get into. My wife happened to be have a big family that worked at Pacific Bell, the Bell telephone system here in Southern California. So I got a job there for a little while, banging the phones, selling long distance. And I did that for about 6 years, where I worked myself all the way up to being an account manager, building data systems for B2B stuff, data centers, co-locations, all that kind of stuff. But I was just a sales guy. I wasn't, a tech guy building them. I sold them. I knew enough about them to be dangerous. And then during that journey is when I started, becoming an entrepreneur, doing things on the side, built a gaming company, and met some friends in the tech world. And we were gamers. We played a game called Counter-Strike, and we created a business wrapped around a game called Counter-Strike. And during that time, we didn't have all the cool comm back then like we have now. So you had to go into these IRC chat rooms, which were little like DOS prompt chat rooms where you'd go in and, hey, this is where the link is to the new server that we're going to go play on. And we'd go play and in those IRC chat rooms, there was the Bitcoin forums. And again, like I said, I was doing entrepreneurial stuff on the side, trying to make all kinds of businesses. And then eventually what happened was I saw crypto. And as time went on, I read the Satoshi white paper and decided that, oh my gosh, this is the thing I really want to get into. And so I did. And that was like around 2014. But I had heard about it in 2010 when it first launched through those IRC chat rooms.
Got it. So, like, how would you balance the world of like those who get into crypto and those who are working those blue collar jobs, right? Because if everybody only did crypto, we wouldn't have roads.
I was a freak, man. I was a freak. Like my boys in the field, like those are some roughneck motherfuckers out there. I mean, I'm sorry for cuss. Those are some roughneck guys out there. Like you don't talk technical, you don't talk crypto, or they didn't even know what crypto was back then when I was working in the field. But I mean, it was a completely different world. Being an entrepreneur and even looking at crypto, it was a completely different world. These guys were, bust your ass all day, fighting and scrapping with each other, drinking in the bar at night, going home, doing all over again the next day. I mean, these were roughneck people. They got greasy and dirty all day long, and then unwound by drinking beer and fighting with each other. So it was completely two different worlds. So living in the crypto geek nerd world and trying to deal with that was a whole different thing. So yeah, I got a lot of shit for it. A lot of shit. Like, they told me I was crazy. They told me, what are you doing, man? Don't bring that shit around here. What are you talking about? You're no way, dude. You need to get yourself a new truck and work your way up the system and ask the boss for a raise. And what are you thinking with that shit? And so I took a lot of crap from them. And then coming over to the crypto space wasn't easy either because, I'm not one of these tech geeks. I am an older guy, so I have to take shit from all of these guys around here. And so, I mean, I was a Marine. I lived in the streets. I grew up in Inglewood in the ghettos of Southern California. Like this stuff doesn't bother me that goes on around here. So yeah, it's been a pain in the ass and thankless, no matter how much you do or what you do for people. It's still thankless around here. But for the people that do appreciate, it's been quite a journey, and it is fulfilling to have been able to help some people. Yeah.
Got it. So, for those who have not been exposed to crypto before, if there's any in the audience, why should they get into it?
Jeez. So, so why should anybody? First of all, it's going to be the biggest exchange of wealth that the world has ever seen. For a guy like me to have been in just about every type of endeavor that you can imagine, from working your ass off to trying to build businesses, either brick and mortar business or in real estate, or just from networking, all, you name it, all the businesses that I've done, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a bigger opportunity anywhere like this in all of my days. And I've been actively working and in the system since the 80s. I've been working a job and trying to make my way since the 80s. So I've seen market cycles come and go. I've seen housing markets come and crash. I've seen different presidents come in, and people emotions change, and markets change, and pandemics, and you name it, all of this stuff. But I've never seen anything. I've never seen a bigger opportunity ever in the world than cryptocurrency. And it's because of the direction in which our money's been going. When I look back at history, like my grandfather rode a horse to school. It was, my dad was a blue collar worker and my grandfather was a blue collar worker. And I watched them, struggle and work and save. And I saw how my grandfather had it. And then I saw my dad had it a little worse. So he didn't work any less. He didn't try any less hard to do the same job that my grandfathers did. And I saw myself in that same situation. And I went, it's getting worse. I got less when it comes to retirement than they did. And look at what they ended up with. It wasn't much. And I was scared. I was like, man, what am I going to have for my family? What is going to be here? So I looked at what it was, and it's like, man, the production of the American worker, of the global worker, has fucking hockey sticked. It's going up. We're getting better at what we do. We're producing more than ever before, and we're getting less for it. And even though our wages might appear to be higher, the inflation has destroyed that. And the retirement tools are gone. So I'm coming at this thing from the regular guy's perspective. And, and I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything that's going on here, but I do know that it's a better way. I do know that crypto is a better way to do money. And I do know that most of the people here that are promoting it suck. They really suck at it. Like, you guys out there really suck. The way you guys market, the way you guys treat each other, the way you guys try and do business is horrendous. You guys have no leadership skills. You guys have no understanding what human beings are going through right now. You're selfish, greedy little bastards, all of you. I'm just appalled at what the crypto community is doing with something that they have that's so valuable for the world. They should be trying to make this attractive, but instead they're memeing it away. They're blasting people away and scaring them away from this. They're making it more and more complicated versus trying to simplify it. And they're being greedy. They're not letting technology advance and promoting that. It's all about, what can I get right now? What's mine? How do I get the notoriety? How do I get this? And then they blame everybody else for doing the opposite. I'm not here for that. I'm here. I don't want to be here. I really, really don't. I want to walk a fuck away. I really want to walk away. I have had it with the bull crap that's going on in this space. And I'm talking all of crypto. I'm not talking just, the community I'm involved with. We're having our own little shit show right now, but the whole crypto community, it's appalling at how they're treating the rest of the world. They have something in their hand that is so important and so valuable, yet they're kind of hiding it and keeping it to themselves. And all the while, the things that we're trying to combat, the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, the Morgan Chases, and all these other big companies that have destroyed our money and our government and all of our institutions, they're letting them steal it right now. Bitcoin does not belong to the people anymore. It does not. It belongs to those institutions. Your crypto has been stolen from you, folks. It's gone. And you're never going to see it again. All of those big old Bitcoin bags, I've been watching them OTC trade their shit for the last 6 months straight. Trading it to those money houses. They're taking it from you. And you're giving it up willingly for your little, hoorah, make your money right now. I got mine now, you go get yours type of thing. And that's what this is. This is important to the whole world. It's important to guys like me that don't have a pot to piss in, 4 years ago when I got into this. I've got a lot of buddies out there who didn't listen to me, who thought I was crazy, that are, trying to figure out what they're going to do. They don't know how they're going to make it. They don't know how they're going to retire. And this is the way. But the impetulant children that are running this place right now are destroying it. And I'm hoping that somehow, some way, I can influence that to change, and bring at least some type of a voice of reason to their heads. Maybe they'll respect a little bit of the experience, knowledge, and wisdom that some of us older guys have, and let us speak into their lives and show them how to really go out and promote this thing with a marketing of attraction versus this repulsive meme culture that they've created out there. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's why I'm still working. That's why I'm still doing it.
Sure. So for those who should get into crypto, but at the same time, Bitcoin's being bought up by all these giants, what's the solution to that? How do we get around that? What do we do?
Say that again.
So
how do we get around that?
Yeah. So if we're going to tell people like, hey, yeah, you should get into crypto, at the same time, Bitcoin is its value is being diluted by all these giants who want to control it. What do we do next? If we're still going to get into crypto, what are our options?
So we've got to stop the illusion that Bitcoin is the god of crypto. We've got to first dispel that myth. That's a myth. Bitcoin was first at proof of concept that you can have a secure transaction online, peer-to-peer, over the internet, without an intermediary and without a double spend. That's all Bitcoin did. Boom. Thank you, Bitcoin. Awesome job. Ethereum came out, gave us smart contracts. Now we can program this stuff to do cool shit. We can create DeFi if we want to. Let's go do that. Richard Hart steps in, creates Hex, Pulse, Pulse Hex. Boom. DeFi is born. Now we have the tools to do so. Now we've got to go out and fight, first of all, to keep crypto, get rid of the old narrative that those things were better or are still better. And then teach everybody that DeFi is here and DeFi is better and DeFi can save the financial world. And then go out and help fight the regulators and help educate them and get the world behind us. Because if we don't, the money will. Because that's how our system of government here in this country is set up, where the money has the power because the money is speech. And until we have the money and we can use that same tactic, we have to do it with numbers. We have to do it with the masses. And right now, with the way crypto is so tribal and so split up and so divided, we don't have that voice. We don't have a unified voice. We have just a bunch of noise and a bunch of kids fighting with each other. That's what we got right now.
So what would you say is the importance of decentralized finance, DeFi, and I'll just start with that. Why is that so important to what we're doing?
So we, the people, need to have control of the financial tools. We do. Right now, the industrial complexes, the banks, and the 1% i.e. also the governments and whatnot, are the ones that have control of the money systems. And they're doing a horrible job of being custodians of the money systems. They've done with it what they want, and they've hurt all of us, middle folks, which is the 99% of us. They've hurt all the 99% of us. I'm no longer part of the 99%. I'm part of the 1%. But I don't forget where I come from, and I don't live like a 1%er. I drive a pickup truck. I put rain gutters up on my house. I don't drive a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I don't travel the world with my family and live on beaches. I travel the world to talk about DeFi. I have rain gutters put on my house, and I drive a truck. That's how I live. So I'm not one of those folks. I'm still part of the 99 in my own mind, because I want everybody to have a piece of this, and I want us to come together so that we can speak truth to the power. And if we don't do that with the numbers, with the mass amounts of numbers, which the crypto space is minuscule when it comes to it, we have to speak outside of the crypto space. There's only 2 or 3% of the world is in crypto. That's nothing. We have nothing here in crypto. So we shouldn't think too highly of this community and what we have. All this community is good for right now is being a loudspeaker, is being a freaking, bullhorn. We've got to scream out to everybody what DeFi is. And that means us, the people, being able to trust code. Code is mathematics. Code is solid. Code is an absolute. You can look at math and say 1 + 1 is 2. Boom. That's it. And that's what code does for us. We can say our money needs to do this. All these people on YouTube, money needs to do this. Money needs to do that. They should do this. They should do that. They never do. And all those people yelling, eating shit, and barking at the moon are doing absolutely nothing to change things. DeFi can change that. Code and human beings being able to operate that code for better money, that's what'll fix it. And that's why I'm advocating for DeFi and DeFi for all.
That makes sense. I like it. So for those who are listening, how do we get, I mean, if they're getting fired up just watching this video right now, that's great. But what can they do with that fire? How do they, like, when they're done watching this YouTube video or whatever stream they're on, right? What should they do day to day that's going to make a difference?
And that's always the question. And I know that and I don't want to hammer on people too hard, because I know that everybody out there wants to do well in their own way. But a lot of times that energy is manifested in ways that are, knee-jerk reactions or trigger pulls or things that change things instantly that you may not have wanted to do. So having social media and all that, this day and age, especially with everybody being so pent up and mad and angry and wanting to fix things, it's a dangerous combination. So my first thing I'd like to say to everybody is, before you tweet, before you post, before you think you've got something to say, sit back on it for a minute and rethink what you're about to say. Sit back for a minute and rethink what it is you're about to do or embark on. Give it some more thought first. The old bull and the young bull on top of the hill story. That's basically what it's about, is sit back and give it some time first. Figure out what's going on before you start making reactions. And the funny thing is that most of these reactions that people make out there don't last long term. They're short term. Everything is so quick and fires all the time and changes and is forgotten within a day or two. That's why this space is the way it is. We've got influencers out there that have literally shilled rug pull after rug pull after rug pull after rug pull. They sweep that under the rug. They're on to the next thing, and people forget about what they did to everybody just recently, and that's the problem. So everybody needs to sit back and take a chill for a minute, and then start figuring out how to create unity. I think that's what's most important. Create unity and go, hey, we're all looking for this. We want decentralized finance. We want a crypto. Let's think, if we can just dream up the best crypto ever. We want a crypto that is going to be secure. We want a crypto that is going to work fast and efficient. We want a crypto that has code that's immutable, that can't be changed, it can't be touched. We want a crypto that is going to be valuable in the future, maybe generate yield, something to that nature, something that is going to be economical, that's not going to waste energy. When you look at something and you're looking for something like that, I was looking for the last, 10 years for something like that. And it was Hex that I found that was that crypto. So I said, okay, here we have something now. Now that's what we should all be doing, is looking for the DeFi product that can actually go out and change the world. And now let's all rally around it and go promote it, and promote it using those tenets, those attributes. This is what this crypto is. All the others aren't like it. It is not the same. This is something that the world can get behind, that the world can appreciate and the world can value and benefit from. And then we go and we have to start out small, and we have to fill up, first we fill up the YouTube spaces, then we fill up rooms. And I'm a real big believer in getting people together and getting people in front of the people that are talking to them, and having the meetings after the meeting and hearing the stories and hearing who these people really are, and knowing that there's not some financial backer behind them, knowing that there's not some ulterior motive behind them, that they're really here to pass this message and to help other people. And once they start seeing that and we start filling up rooms, and then we start filling up, venues and hall meeting halls, and then we take it all the way to stadiums. And that's my vision, my goal. What I want to do is see people getting excited about this and filling up stadiums so that we can talk about it, so that we can start a peaceful revolution, but not that peaceful, something that's loud, something that the world can hear, something that is exciting, something that people can put their energy behind. And, doing stuff like that and getting people telling their real stories and talking about DeFi in a simple way, not having to get up there and show people charts and Etherscan and all this weird, crazy stuff, but showing them the attributes of what DeFi is and how it takes the best things of real world finance and puts them in a spot where the people have the control, the people don't have to worry, and we can feel secure about our money and the future of it. And that's the message that needs to go out there in bulk and with enthusiasm and, with some passion. And that's when we're going to start bringing all of our friends with the money and the value that want to change the world into this space.
So do you know anybody who puts on events where people of this mindset can get together and, all around the country, all around the world?
Well, it has just so happened to know where people can do that. So what I've done is I started out my small, way. I'm doing what's called the Pulse Chain Tour. I did it last year during the whole bear market. I went around the country here in the United States and went room to room to room. Sometimes we had, 20, 30 people. Sometimes we have 50, 60 people. Every once in a while we'd have 100 people. But yeah, we went around the world and started talking to people about Richard Hart's ecosystem, Hex, and the Pulse chain that he created, the most decentralized L1 that's out there. And for anybody who doesn't understand what L1, that's a blockchain. That's what cryptocurrencies ride on, are built on, and utilize to transact and move around into people's wallets. So yeah, that's what we've done. We've promoted and we've filled up rooms. Now, it was, I wanted to get bigger. And so this year we're doing it again as the bull market is starting to kick in. And we're going to take it global this year. So we're going to go to Europe and Australia and still here in the US and Canada. And we're going to take crypto and DeFi, Richard Hart's DeFi system around the world and do it on our dime. And the people that want to come see it, and it's all in the up and up. There's no, money being made here. The support team that I have with SJ and Black Hexagon, they barely get paid enough to survive to do this, and so the people that are supporting it are, helping us go out and spread the word and bringing their people, their they're newcomers or noobs or no coiners to the event so that they can learn about DeFi and get involved in this awesome system that Richard built.
I like it. So it sounds like the people watching this should, I mean, there's really no reason they shouldn't be signing up right now for the next
Yeah.
one. What is it? What is it in Utah?
Yeah. So you can go, excuse me. So you can go to pulsechaintour.com. That's where you can get, tickets and the information for all the events that we're doing. Yeah, the next one's going to be in Utah here. I believe it's on the 13th of next month. I may be wrong, but yeah, just go to pulsechaintour.com. You can see that. And there'll be myself. And then we've got Donovan Jolly, who's got his own DIY investing YouTube channel with 85,000 followers. He's done real well in the crypto space, and now he's a full-blooded Hexakin promoting Pulse Chain, and he's going to be speaking there, and a few others. Might even get Hexologists to come out there and talk. We'll see. But yeah, there's other people out there speaking besides me that are, dyed-in-the-wool Hexakins trying to promote DeFi. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So go to pulsechaintour.com and find it.
So for anyone who's coming from this and is not entirely familiar with the Richard Hart ecosystem, how would you summarize that? Why is his ecosystem more important?
So his system. So first of all, Hex was the only truly decentralized crypto that I knew that was in existence at the time. Unfortunately, it ran on Ethereum, which has turned out to be, utter garbage, and they won't fix their fees. They've had upgrades, but they still, it's ridiculous. When you hear Vitalik saying things like 5-cent transactions on Bitcoin are ridiculous, it's ludicrous, he said. And now you've got people that are paying $1,500 for transactions on Ethereum. So he's lost face in the crypto space. I thought he was a very intelligent young man. He had something really good going on. He was, ingenious to have brought solidity to the forefront. But he's failed, just like Satoshi failed by either, bitching out or passing away and not leaving anything for anybody to improve or move forward. But we still have Richard Hart here. He's the one that's continuing to innovate, develop, and bring new products to market that are truly decentralized. You look at everything that he's doing, whether it's pissing people off or not. He's still innovating and decentralizing more and more and more. His latest conversation with everybody on Twitter lately has been about how much better Hex is on Pulse Chain. I said it from the beginning. Pulse Chain was made to make Hex better, and it did. It made Hex better. It just hasn't gotten adoption yet. We need adoption. So we need to bring everybody over from the great product that was Hex on Ethereum over to Pulse Chain. And that's what Richard is touting right now. And, it's fall in line. Everybody's got to fall in line. Richard is the one that's driven this ecosystem, and it's time for everybody to understand, which direction he's trying to take it. And it's not going to be, it's going to be painful lots of ways. I know that there's lots of people that, we're counting on eHex right now to, make monster returns in the bull market. And if you were doing that, that's your own fault. You shouldn't have been, playing the short game. It's about the long game. I don't think Ethereum or Hex on Ethereum is dead. I think that it's got a red candle for the last few days. But I think there's 650 billion Hex or something like that, and only 5% of it is circulating. So whatever the number of that is, that's all the Hex that's left on Pulse Chain, and then the same amount over on Ethereum. I think that the Hex product itself is going to become so popular that people are going to be standing in line to wait for Hex to become unstaked on both chains. And that may not happen now, but Hex on Ethereum is never going to go away. It's always going to be there. Nobody can kill it. It's always going to have value and use case. And I'm sure Ethereum will fix itself one day. But as of right now, it's about adoption. It's about getting on Pulse Chain. It's about bringing people over to Pulse Chain, seeing how absolutely freaking wonderful it is to transact and build things on Pulse Chain.
So what would you tell like an 18-year-old now, right? Because let's say a kid wants to get out there and go start like framing houses or whatever. Like he's passionate about that as a job. You were speaking a little bit about how the blue collar work is really, I mean, it's like, it's not a quite dead end, but it's how are you going to get out of it? That's almost more important.
Yeah.
So would you say that crypto can fill the gap and like be this wealth building tool that you can retain at the same time?
I'd like to say absolutely 100%. But the fate of crypto is still in the hands of all of the people that are utilizing it right now, and the regulators that are looking at it. So to say that would be, it would be irresponsible for me to say that. If it were me as a 19-year-old man right now, going into the trades, I'd go and work my ass off in the trades. But on the side, I'd be learning everything I could about crypto. I'd be doing everything I could to, instead of invest in the 401k that I invested in when I was a young man, I would be working on diversifying something into crypto. And I would be, yes, I'd be setting up my own retirement plan there, watching it closely and becoming involved. Because the people involved in crypto right now can't just sit on the sidelines and watch. We're too small of a group. People need to get involved. And if I was a young man, I'd figure out a way to put my time into helping drive this revolution, because that's what this is. This is a revolution, and it's a revolution for the power of money. Who's it going to belong to? Who is the greatest asset class that's ever seen the face of the planet? Who's gonna have control of it? Is it going to be we the people, or is it going to be the institutions that have screwed us all this time? That's the question, and that's what everybody in crypto seriously has to ask themselves, of how they're going to help that to go the right way.
Man, you're preaching. I like it. I think it's extremely important for everyone at least to start learning about it, because like you said, it's too small of a group, not enough people know about it.
And we're not a glum lot. I don't want to. Sometimes I cast a dark shadow on things. I just got back from Vegas, and we had this big party with all the Hexicans and the Richard Hart supporters and all that, and we did a big event, and it was awesome. We had a good time. We partied. We did all these crazy cool stuff together, shooting guns and going to shows and all this. But when it comes down to it, this is very serious. And there's a time for having fun and memeing everything and being lighthearted, and there's a time for being serious. And when it comes to this revolution right here, and the age that I am, the certain age that I am, I want people to realize that if you don't take this serious, if you do keep just playing it and memeing it, the powers that be will take it from you. They don't care about your memes. They don't care about how much shit you can talk on the internet. They don't care how loud you get. They have the control. And if they get control of this, if they regulate DeFi out of existence, you lose. And all you're left with is a bunch of empty memes. And all you're left with is a bunch of empty I told you so's or I got yous. What does that do for you and the rest of the people out there, and for crypto in general and its adoption? Absolutely nothing.
True. That's true. So do you have any other questions or thoughts? Are you ready to answer some questions?
Yeah, I'll answer some questions. Other than that, yeah, I don't have any more thoughts. I'm just, yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here. Glad that, we have DeFi. I'm glad it's here. Now it's about keeping it. And that's my goal, is to try and keep it.
I love it. Me too, man. So first question from the Green Observer. I'm going to pop it up here.
Uh-huh.
He says, bro, you hung up the Dragon capsule at SpaceX? I see it in the background of your live streams all the time.
Yes, we hung the Dragon capsule up, and I was one of the only guys allowed to move the capsule that took the first humans up to the space station when they did that a couple years ago. Um, I helped them move the dies and the build for the space station had a specific connection port, and that specific connection port came in. I delivered it and put it in their R&D room where they can match the capsule up to that. So did all that, and then when the capsule was being moved around at SpaceX is not a very efficient place. They've got a lot of different buildings and it's an old aerospace town with a lot of old aerospace buildings that they bought all of them, and so things are moved around. So the capsule had to be moved around to a lot of different facilities in order for it to be done. And then when it came time for it to be sent to, I think it was Florida that it went to. Yeah, Florida. I was the one that had to move it, so I went and pick it up, put on a special truck. That truck was hauled out in the middle of the night and sent out to Florida. So yeah, so I moved the capsule also, and yes, we hung up the capsule inside the SpaceX lounge there, which is very cool because they have a chef with the chef hat on making you the most incredible freaking lunch and free yogurt bar, frozen yogurt bar, and the soda machines that have every soda you can imagine on it and all that kind of stuff. It was, and you pay like $5 for lunch, and it's like this gourmet freaking, giant pork chops and everything else. It was insane. People dancing, music going, really, really cool atmosphere that Elon created there.
That is fantastic. And that's amazing for the price of $5. I bet that only cost $5.
Yeah, you go in there, you buy the card, you put the money in the thing, and you buy the card, and you go and you pass that in, and it's $5 for lunch, and then you get all the free frozen yogurt you can eat. Walking by, you're working, to stop over at the yogurt bar and grab the yogurt, and then coffee. They have like a Starbucks in there, like all the coffees you want and everything, and just walk up and grab it. That's cool, man. It's really cool there.
I love it. That sounds fantastic. Got another question here. I'm gonna throw it. I'm going to comment it and then pop it up because it came from the other side of YouTube. Comment from WR Football. Wasn't the point, presuming he's talking about Hex, wasn't the point to do long stakes and delay gratification?
Exactly. The running around with your hair on fire right now because of the price dip in eHex is just crazy because you should have been using Hex to stake. Hex is used for staking. And with the Ethereum fees the way they are, having any chance at all of making any gains, probably not now, because if Ethereum goes on a bull run and it goes to 10K, 11K, 12K, whatever, 15K, imagine what those fees are going to be. It's going to be through the roof. So your Hex should be staked extremely long, extremely long. For those of you who are staked short, hopefully you got your copies over on Pulse Chain. But yeah, there's not enough emphasis put on the value of Hex. The value of Hex is in its yield generating tool. It's in the T-share and the value of the T-share. And that has to do with staking. I don't want to get too deep into that, but the value of Hex is in staking Hex, not in holding liquid. Some people will like to say, hey, I'm holding liquid during the bull run so I can dump some. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But that's a trader's mentality. That is not the mentality of what Hex was really built for, which is to stake and generate yield and have a long-term delayed gratification.
Got it. Next question from Watermelon. Popping it up here. Has anyone in the space created the codes like Hex? Closed codes done product, they say. And also, how can we prove these codes are verified? What it's supposed to do? Newbies can't read codes.
Yeah, I can't read code either. So what I did was I put together a team of people who can read code, who can write code. And I often question, they've looked at the Hex code, they've looked at the code of things that have come out on Hex, and they've told me what they found. So whenever I see something, and we also have the Pulse Police, I believe it is, in Telegram, that they do the same thing. They recode. They have a bunch of code readers in there. So for you noobs, you can go in there and go to. I want to say it's Pulse Police. Let me double check that so I can. Let's see here. Pulse. Pulse Police. You go to Pulse Police, and they're in there looking at everything being built on Pulse Chain, and they red flag it or yellow flag it or whatever, and they'll let people know what they found, and people can go in there and ask questions. But yeah, you go into Pulse Police, and they will help you with understanding what projects that are being built on Pulse Chain and the products themselves and their risk evaluations and whatnot. So yeah, you can go do things like that. And then of course, once you go into a room like that, there's a lot of people to talk to who can help you, send you in directions so that you can learn and understand. And, we're in the wild, wild west right now. Crypto is DeFi is just kind of rearing its ugly head. We've always wanted it, but now it's really here. So there's going to be a lot of scams. There's going to be a lot of, shell games being played out there. There's nothing new under the sun, folks. They're going to be playing the same old games that they always have. And so you're going to need to protect yourself. And if you are new and you don't understand these things, first of all, be very, very careful about all the other projects out there. All I know is that Hex on Pulse Chain, Pulse and PulseX, and an incentive token are solid, well thought out projects that are now products that do not have any danger other than market speculation and sending it up and down like we just saw with eHex. Look, there's no problem with eHex. eHex is a perfect product, perfect in all sense of the word. The code is impeccable and immutable. Ethereum is broken right now. Say that again. Ethereum is broken right now, and Hex doesn't function or operate properly on Ethereum. So it's not a broken product. It's running on a broken chain. So that's, that's what I say to those folks. Go educate yourself. Go see what's going on, and be careful, and don't lead people into other things that they don't know, that you don't know about either.
Awesome. We got one last question here from Rocket. 401k versus crypto. Explain percentage versus dollar amount.
So trying to explain crypto and dollar amount, first of all, is either the wrong way to explain it or a very deceptive way to explain the products within the crypto ecosystem, because they're speculative, highly volatile, because of the new market, because of the young market. If you look at the stock market, when the stock market was young, it had some of the same problems. It had some of the same volatility, i.e. the crash in the 30s. It has stabled out somewhat since then, but always moving up and to the right. So here we have the world's best speculative crypto or asset ever seen, which is crypto, moving in that same direction, up and to the right. Bitcoin's at 72, 73K today. So no matter how many times they've said it was dead, no matter how many times they've said it was, not coming back, it does. Made all-time highs. This time it made all-time highs before the halvening, which is freaking incredible in my book right now. So we have this speculative asset economy here that is new and young. So putting it in dollar terms, very difficult to do. However, if I was a young person, for you older folks that are my age in their 50s, 60s, we don't have much time to play around with this stuff. So we have to be extremely careful. The young people, just like when I started my 401k, I can go into very, very high risk assets in my 401k, which is what I did in my early days. And then as I started getting older, getting closer here to retirement, I started to change that up to the more secure, stable assets, which is how you're supposed to do it. You go hard when you're young, when you have that risk tolerance, and then as you're in your income earning years and as you're getting closer to retirement, you start to dial those back and set yourself up with less speculative, more secure asset classes, stuff, bond markets and things like that. So the same thing applies here. It's a very volatile marketplace. However, it's going to be the biggest transference of wealth the world has ever seen. So how do you function with that? How do you get in that? Well, Richard says that diversifying into things is ridiculous when you have crypto. I can't take that risk at this age. Younger people may be able to, but just remember, it all depends on how much adoption and whether or not crypto is not regulated out of existence. I don't think it's going to be, but I don't see anybody trying to help it not be regulated out of existence, especially in this community that I'm involved in, the Hex community. We have very few people that have the balls, the want, the desire, the stones to go out and do it. To go out and start working with regulatory, to start bringing the community together, to start really talking about things versus, dunking on each other and memeing each other all the time. That's all I'm saying. And it's a waste of energy and a waste of time as far as I'm concerned, because we don't have much time or energy to go and waste on these other things. So to answer that gentleman's question, if I were a young person and I had this in front of me, I'd be, taking some pretty high risk into it with my future retirement investments. If I was, investing in my future self, I'd be putting a lot of it in crypto right now. If I was anybody, if I was older, I'd be a lot more leery and I'd be a lot more careful because you only have a certain amount of time to get this right. And if you do, you'll be free and you could free generations of your family up. And for young folks, it's going to be easier for you to get right because you can screw up a few times before, you really have to hunker down and start making sure that your investments are wise.
Got it, man. Well, thank you for answering those. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for coming along and answering or asking questions for RG today. Man, Captain, where can people find you on the internet? What projects do you got going on? Obviously, the Pulse Chain Tour, but give your spiel, man. How do we get involved?
Yes.
What do we do?
So I'm the Captain RG3 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all the social medias. You can find my YouTube channel, which is Discourse Syndicate, not Discord like the gamer platform. It's Discourse, like we're going to have public discourse. So Discourse Syndicate is where my YouTube channel is. That's where we do all that. And if you need to get in touch with us, a wild SJ, who that's her Twitter handle and everything. She's the producer of the show. So she handles all the talking to people and getting things booked and whatnot. So you guys can reach out to her. But yeah, that's how you can find me. And we're working on a crypto project right now, but that's to be determined as far as when that's going to actually launch.
Good deal, man. Well, thank you for coming on again. If you need to if you want to start learning about crypto, check this guy out. He is a great place to start. He also was one of the beautiful stars in the recent Richard Hart movie that came out, The Highest of Stakes. So you want to check that movie out. And thank you guys for watching. We will see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.